Hello and welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood and my husband John is with me today as we share about a young family serving God in the mountain jungles of Thailand. Hello, love.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm doing fine today. Thank you.
Good.
Now, I'm looking forward to the stories that we have to share today.
Yes.
Who are we learning about?
Okay, we're going to go and spend some time with Jason and Shoshana Sharon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are they working?
They're working in the western highlands up in the mountain jungles of Thailand.
Okay, so what do they do there?
Well, Jason first went there way back in like 2008 or something. He's one of the...
A long time ago.
Yeah, and at the time he was a single guy. Mm-hmm. And he started by just helping wherever he could. And then he started a training school where he would train in Bible work and literature or evangelism. I don't know how much literature they're able to do because there's not a lot of literature in the language that is local there, which is the language of the Quran.
Right.
He was there for quite a while, and his parents came and joined his project.
Right.
And
right.
We have a couple clips from that original school that was in the jungle. But then the rules in the country changed. They couldn't stay there any longer.
Right.
And so they went and built another place with his parents, and a young lady came and was helping his family, their
Right.
family, his parents' family. And they fell in love and realized they were very compatible, and they got married. Mm-hmm. And she's the sweetest person you could ever hope for.
Right.
And they both have this really humble, down-to-earth approach to life, and they're in the perfect environment because they're around people that, they don't know anything about Jesus, and they live a very simple kind of rice farming kind of lifestyle,
Right.
up in the mountains, and they are Karen, so they speak the Karen language. A lot of them speak some Thai, but it's mainly Karen that area speaks, and
Right.
so I'm wearing a Karen shirt.
Right.
And so are you.
I am too, yeah. So Jason and Shoshana, as they were getting together and falling in love, they actually were doing Bible studies because she wasn't an Adventist at the time.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And she was interested in learning and understanding what these Sharon family believed,
Right.
and why they believed these things.
Right.
And so they were doing Bible studies together and as a family also, but together. And that's where the Lord brought them together was
Yes.
as they studied the Bible together, which is really a neat thing.
Yes, absolutely.
That God used that Bible study time to knit their hearts together as well.
Right.
So they're in one as one in belief as well as one in family,
Right.
marriage.
Yeah. And so they spent a couple years there and realized that there's so many villages in that entire area
Right.
that have no presence, no witness at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so they felt it would be more efficient if they moved to a new village and started a new center.
Right. So they're out in this village by themselves. They're the only Adventists there.
Uh-huh.
And they are just living
Yes.
among their neighbors. They're not, they haven't been like trying to hold evangelistic series or
Right.
anything like that.
Probably
They've just
wouldn't
been
work.
living among them.
Yes.
Right.
So because this is a new project, Jason was very strong about not having cameras in the village.
Right.
Because he didn't want his neighbors to feel like they were on display.
Right.
And so he agreed to do it if our foreign correspondents, Jonathan and Hanny Hill, would only film him doing rice harvesting, planting, and the whole rice cycle.
Yeah, working.
Yes.
Instead of just sitting there talking.
Right. And so Shoshana, in this video, we've split it up into 4 parts, but in each part, Shoshana's telling their approach, the story, what it's like, while you see video of Jason planting and then letting it grow and then harvesting and all that stuff. So you get to see the whole, basically the cycle of rice planting and harvesting in this one show.
So we are living in Thailand, living in the mountains, helping the Karen people. And in our village and in the villages surrounding us, the people are mainly Buddhist and animists, worshiping the trees and the plants and nature. So this past year, actually 2 years, we've gotten to work a lot more closely with the people and building relationships with them. And we've also had opportunities to work in the rice paddies. And God's just been showing me some object lessons between the working the ground and winning souls for God. It reminds me of the parable of the sower. We have to prepare the soil, we have to work the soil. If you plant in bad soil, nothing really comes of it. You have to really prepare it, work it good. And it takes a lot of time, and for us, it takes a lot of prayer for these people. And you have to carefully plant when it's time. You have to make sure you have good seed. You have to know what plants need to be planted. And then the watering, you have to really pay attention to the plant's needs, whether it can handle a lot of water, whether a little water. You don't want to drown it. But if it uses a lot of water and soaks it up, you need to be ready to be able to give it plenty of water. And at the same time, we're not the ones causing the plants to grow. We're working with God. We're co-laborers with Him. You also have to watch for the harvest. You can't try to harvest too early, otherwise it's ruined. And you can't be too late, otherwise you've missed the opportunity. And you have to watch for the conditions for the plants. If it's sunny and warm, they grow better and faster. If it's really cold or wet, it slows down the process. So you have to be really watchful. You have to get to know the people that you're working with. You have to be praying for them a lot.
Wow, that's neat to see the process.
Yeah, and
thinking about the spiritual applications.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, the interrelationship between the farming and the spiritual seed planting and harvesting and everything, bringing somebody to Christ.
Yeah, the spiritual application is just, it's neat.
Yeah.
To think about all the different steps.
Right.
And how it applies spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now she's got a story about how this kind of works.
Okay.
It's been a really amazing last 2 years. The head woman, when we first moved up here, you have to remember she's from a Buddhist animist background. She didn't want to have anything to do with God. And we were really good friends, but we had to keep religion quiet and just live life. And so we helped her and worked with her a lot. And after about 3 years, she started to really open up. She was seeing a difference. And the major change was when my sister came and was drawing a Bible verse on the wall at our mother's house. It was in Psalms 103 that the Lord is gracious and plenteous in mercy, slow to anger. And I told my sister we should have the head woman come and check the Thai script, because we don't know the Thai script, but she knows it. So she came to compare it for us and to correct any mistakes and stuff. And when she read that verse, it just really struck her. The Lord, He's slow to anger, He's plenteous in mercy. Who is this God? And so she asked our family, our sisters, and our mom, is there any other verses I need to read? And so they had some other verses for her to read, and she had read the whole chapter, Psalms 103, and then she went home and we didn't hear anything else. She did take a Bible with her. and it was just quiet for a while. And then one day she came up to Jason and I and started asking us questions about, becoming a Christian. So we talked with her a little bit, and then that was it for a while. And then she announced that she wanted to be a Christian. And we were really excited because we hadn't been able to really share much with her. It was just a lot of praying and living with her and helping her. So a little while later, she got baptized, and because we don't speak her Po-Karen language, so it's very hard to share with her biblical things. And so we've spent a lot of time praying for her, asking God to show her and reveal stuff to her as she reads the Bible. And He has revealed a lot to her. She has changed so much and grown so much. We know it's not us because we can't speak that much with her. And so now she's working with us more, and she's working at our office foundation, helping us with our visas and work permits, making it easier and more possible for us to be here. And she now knows why we're here, and she wants to help us. She knows we're not here just to help people. We're not humanitarians in that sense. We're here to show people who God is, to share the gospel with people, and she is so excited. She wants to help us as much as she can.
That's a God thing. That is such an amazing story, because it's just like she'd watched them. She'd seen, and then when she read it, it made sense. It was like, wait, I need to know more about this.
Right. And this was the head woman of the village.
Yeah.
And so she had a lot of influence.
Right.
And it took her some time to learn and to grow and make that decision. But when she did, she's never looked back.
Right. Right. And she's been persecuted.
Yes, she has.
She's no longer the head woman of the village.
Right.
She has been almost ostracized from there.
Yeah.
Someone else is in charge in the village now, but
that's right.
She doesn't, she's not looking at that. She's looking at Christ.
Right. Yeah.
So, and living her life to help others. It's just beautiful.
It is. It's very beautiful. In fact, during this COVID season, she loves taking rice and different essential supplies to neighbors in the area that are really suffering.
Right.
Because many of them have lost their jobs. They can't go out and work. They can hardly get out of their house. It's very restricted, and so she was able to bring some life supplies to them, and I've got tons of pictures of her just handing out to people, and she loves doing that.
That's really neat. That's really neat. I'm so thankful that our donors have been giving to the COVID Relief Fund.
Yes.
That's enabled us to say, here's some money, please help as many as you can.
Yep, that's right.
So
Every month.
That's been a blessing.
That's a huge blessing. I don't know how many lives it's actually saved from starvation, but there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So the next video we have is the story of Grandpa Jacob.
Okay.
We'll call him Grandpa Jacob. He lived in another village. He had liver cancer, and we found out about him about the time he was supposed to die. The doctors had given him about 8 months, and his 8 months were about up. And there wasn't really anything we could do for him at that point because he was on his deathbed, but we just tried to make his life a little bit more comfortable and easier, and just visited him. He loved being able to see our one kid at the time, just to visit with them and take them some bread and stuff that our mom would bake, and they loved it so much. And after a while of visiting, I told Jason, you should see if he wants to listen to the Bible. So we have the audio Bibles. So he asked him if he wanted to listen to stories. And he said, sure, he doesn't have anything else to do and his radio doesn't work anymore. So we gave him an audio Bible and he started listening to it. And after about a month, he announced to us that he wanted to worship God. And we were really excited. And so we kept going every week and having worship with them and singing, and we would take a whole bunch of instruments, and he loves the violin. He just thought that sounded so pretty, and we'd just sing for a long time. And after they decided to worship God it was maybe a month after that, Jason and I, we were here in our village doing whatever we were doing that day, and these guys came and they said, hey, we have a cow. This cow is from the other village. Would you be able to haul it back to the village for us? And I said, a cow? You want us to be cow haulers today? I said, okay, God, if that's what you want us to do. We had our brother Travis's truck, his big truck here, because it was rainy season. And so they got that cow up into that truck, and on the way out the door, I was like, I should probably take our bag that has our passports and stuff in it. Not that we'll need it, but maybe. And it happened to have 2 more audio Bibles in it. And so we went to the village, and they were trying to figure out where to let the cow out at, because you need to back up to a bank to get the cow out. The best place happened to be in front of Grandpa Jacob's house. So we drove all the way back to Grandpa Jacob's house and backed up, and they were getting the cow out, and his wife, Grandma Rachel, she came out to see what we were doing, because we don't normally come in the middle of the week. And this cow happened to be in our village, and they needed somebody to bring it back, so we're bringing the cow back. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you guys gonna come in and visit while you're here? And we said, yeah, we have a few minutes, we can come visit. So we went in and saw Grandpa Jacob, and the first thing he's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. The audio Bible has stopped charging. We can't listen anymore. And so Jason said, well, we didn't bring any more audio Bibles. And I said, yeah, I did. I grabbed the bag, and it actually has 2 in it. And so I went out and got him another audio Bible so they could continue listening. And then he asked if he could have another one, because there's other people in his village that need to know about God. And so I think during the time of helping Grandpa Jacob, we gave out about 5 audio Bibles to that village. And after he passed away, we went to visit them. We were one of the first ones they told that he passed away, and so we got a truckload of people from our village and went over to the funeral. And Grandma Rachel, she came out, she's like, do you guys have another audio Bible? Somebody came and took Grandpa's audio Bible, because as soon as Grandpa dies, all his possessions are just up for grabs. And so somebody else came and took his audio Bible. And so we had another one. I had taken some in case we needed them. And so Jason got it turned on for her, and she sat down and she just listened to that for like a half hour straight. She just sat down and listened to it. I had never seen anybody so hungry and thirsty to hear the word of God as she was. And her children asked her, now that Grandpa's passed away, are you going to return to worshiping the spirits? And she said, oh no, since what I've learned about God, there's no going back. I'm going to follow God the rest of my life. And it was so encouraging to hear that somebody else wants to follow after God.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is really neat.
Yeah, those audio Bibles are really powerful, especially where people can't read. Even if they can read, they read very slowly, and the Bible itself, doesn't do well in such moist conditions and stuff.
Yeah.
And so an audio Bible, they can listen. It's recharged by the sun, and there's plenty of sun there, except during rainy season.
Yeah.
But they can just listen, and the cool thing about when they're listening is that everybody in the house hears it too. Right,
and their houses have bamboo walls, most of them. So then people outside the house can hear as well.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
So that's
beautiful.
Yes, yeah, it's really neat that they were able to bring that joy to the grandpa before he passed away, and he had time to learn about God and choose to give his heart to God.
So
that's
awesome.
really neat.
Yeah.
And that the grandma was like, it's gone. Can you give me another one?
It was just
one.
She was missing it.
Yeah. What a blessing, for her in her time of sorrow.
Yeah.
And loneliness.
Yeah. And it's such an amazing concept to think that there are people in the world that don't know that God exists, don't know who He is. And so they're led by fear all their life. Is the tree spirit going to hurt me? Is the ground spirit going to hurt me?
If I don't do whatever,
certain rituals
then
or behave
I
right.
will be attacked by whatever spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they live their life in fear. And when Christ comes in and they hear about the strongest spirit in the universe is kind and loving, that's like, well, yeah, that's life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
So,
Well, we've got another story of another grandpa.
awesome. Okay.
Another grandpa that we got to help. We also found out about him when he was on his deathbed. The doctors had given him about a week to live and sent him home to die. And he had a really bad headache. I've never seen anything so bad. He was miserable. He couldn't do anything except toss and turn and moan and groan. And so we went to visit him to see if we could help with his headache. And that's when we found out he had also had cancer. And the doctors had done chemotherapy, but there was nothing else they could do for him. And the family wanted to know if we could help with his headache. But there wasn't much we could do because he was so far gone. But as we were praying, Jason felt impressed that we should do a charcoal bath, a neutral charcoal bath. And so we took our bathtub, took it over to his village. They had to pull some of the sides off of their house to get the bathtub in and to haul the water in and stuff. And they did the neutral charcoal bath for about 3 days, and his headache did go away and he was doing a little bit better. But then his blood pressure went up and we didn't feel comfortable doing the charcoal bath anymore. So we just kept going and visiting and seeing if there was anything else we could do to make him comfortable. And then I again told Jason maybe he should ask him if Grandpa wanted to listen to some stories. And so he went and asked him if he wanted to listen to some stories. He said sure. So we gave him an audio Bible and he listened to it for one night. When we went back the next day, he had gotten a lot weaker, so he couldn't talk anymore. But his whole countenance had changed. And he had been a murderer. He had killed people. He had spent time in jail. You could tell he wasn't a nice person to be around. His wife, she's just really hard. And you can't really communicate with her because she has a wall up. And so he couldn't talk anymore to share with us if there was anything he wanted to share with us. And we didn't know, but just seeing the change in his countenance, we knew that something had happened, that God was working in his life. I was just imagining that he had listened to Jesus on the cross with the thieves on the cross, and just realizing that, for him, that could have been him, one of the thieves on the cross. He was a murderer. And just being up there with Jesus and just thinking of the life change that could have been for him, that God is willing to forgive anyone, no matter the circumstance, no matter whether they're about to die. God is willing to forgive them at any point. And so I also believe that we'll see him in heaven too. He lasted about another week before he passed away. And we got to go back and visit his wife just recently. We took her a bag of oranges because we wanted to keep up our friendship with her. And when she saw us, Jason gave her the bag of oranges. And she's like, "Is that for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Grandma, we brought you a bag of oranges." She's like, "All of them?" I'm like, "Yeah, Grandma, all of them are for you." "You're giving them to me? All of them?" I'm like, "Yeah, Grandma, you like oranges, don't you?" She's like, "Well, yeah." Huh. Like, okay, this is a little bit strange. And so as we were leaving, she actually thanked Jason for giving her the oranges. But I was so taken back by that. Normally people are used to getting stuff and being offered stuff, but she wasn't used to it. I don't think anybody's ever done anything kind for her. So we've worked with a lot of people in these mountains, serving them, helping with medical needs, taking food to them, doing massages, helping fix their tools, all kinds of different things, building relationships with them. And we just continue to pray for them. There's a handful of other people, some grandpas and some of their families, that they're just on the verge of they see something different. We've shared with them about more of who God is, and they're just on the verge. They're really wanting to know more, but we're still waiting and praying because we don't want to push them. It's almost time for the harvest, but we have to be patient. The fruit has to be just right. And so we're really excited to see what God will continue to do. The time is short. There's not many more days before Jesus comes back, and there's so many people hungering and thirsting for more. They don't know what they're hungering and thirsting for, but they need to know who God is. And so I just want to encourage people that the stuff that we live for, our daily lives, it's so easy to get comfortable, but we need to put that aside. We need to take up our cross and follow Jesus. We need to get out and share the gospel, because nobody knows who God is. They think it's just say the prayer and you're good to go, but no, God wants to change us. He doesn't want to leave us in our sin. He wants to help us, and there's so many people who need help. They need to be lifted up. They need help. And if nobody goes, they're not going to get the help. They're never going to feel the freedom from sin and the joy of living for God.
It reminds me of that verse that says, "They that sow in tears shall reap in joy."
Right.
And with everything that's going on in the world today, it's very clear that the world itself is just about ready for harvest.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're going to do anything to increase heaven's population, we've got to do it quick.
Right. The time is now.
The time is now.
Right.
To make a difference, to make an effort, to put everything that we have into the work, mm-hmm. and pray God blesses it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and please pray for Jason and Shoshana and their children as they seek to serve these people, just humbly working among them. If you'd like to get involved, you can contact us at Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you until we see you next time on Jesus for Asia Now.